Welcome, and thank you for joining me, Miss Trott, once again for Math and Science for Young Children. In each of our sessions, we will be reviewing math, science, and early childhood topics. Our goals for this session are to understand the application of constructivist learning in early childhood settings, apply principles of sorting and classifying by different attributes to rocks, and identifying components of an engaging high-interest science center. Make sure you download the note sheet to go along with this video and stick around as we learn more about math and science concepts for young children. A constructivist perspective focuses on attention of the child's contribution to the construction of knowledge. Constructivism is based on the idea that children are actively engaged in building theories about the world and the way it works naturally and without the aid of direct instruction. From a constructivist perspective, children are natural scientists and given the opportunity will engage on their own in experimentation and problem solving. The role of the teacher is to provide context within which such experiments can occur and to facilitate theory building and providing helpful materials and experiences. The processes whereby children acquire and extend their understanding are critical of importance. Therefore, a constructivist curriculum model should be derived from the child's own thought process and activities rather than some content-oriented topics or themes arbitrarily chosen by the adults. And since children are viewed as actively inquiring natural scientists, our curriculum model should encourage experimentation. Materials and activities must allow for many possibilities. The curriculum model must provide guidance by creating learning situations that encourage a diversity of approaches. Such settings will let children produce and test many different ideas and hypotheses, creating an environment that actively supports the theory building. So the three main principles of constructivism are that learners do not acquire knowledge that is transmitted to them. Rather, they construct knowledge through their intellectual activities and make it their own. Also, learners come to the educational settings with very different experiences, ideas, and approaches to learning. And this is referred to as prior knowledge. And lastly, young children are social beings, influenced by and influencing others around them. This session's exemplar activity goes along with earth science and exploring rocks. Children will collect, explore, and investigate rocks. They observe and compare the different textures, shapes, colors, sizes, and other attributes by the collection of rocks. They sort and classify rocks into groups and further investigate rocks based on their interests and questions. The underlying science concepts for this activity are that there are many different types of rocks. Rocks have different properties and characteristics, and rocks may be used for different purposes depending on their intrinsic characteristics. Be sure to use the engage, explore, and reflect components found in your exemplar activity guide. After you've had enough time to explore and investigate your rocks, make sure that you reflect with questions such as, what did you learn about from observing and investigating the different rocks? And how were you being like a scientist? Be sure to also choose one of the ideas for further exploration so that you can continue learning about rocks. With any new material, children may need opportunities to freely explore in unstructured ways before moving on to more directed activities. Free exploration has values to both children and to the adults. For children, it helps them be able to do their own thing so that later it'll be possible for them to focus on the material as a learning material and not just a play object. It'll help them satisfy curiosity. They can learn from other children. They are able to work at their own pace and ability level and make sure that they feel successful. They can verbalize their ideas, awaken their senses, and so many more. The value freedom of exploration provides to teachers is that they get to observe the complexity of a task that children set up for themselves and are able to observe how they react to difficulties in completing their tasks. They can observe what the children do spontaneously with the different materials, observe how they learn through play, and which children are self-directed learners. It also gives teachers time to informally assess children's skills. After allowing children to freely explore a new item, it's time for us to do our concept with the item. And so this week we're taking a look at children sorting rocks. And so now it's time for children to get into groups. First, they're going to do a binary sort. Remember that that is creating two separate groups, one based on an attribute, and the other set ends up being any part of the collection that doesn't follow that attribute. So if I am sorting something like rocks, I might choose an attribute such as smooth. And so any of my rocks that are smooth are going to go into one pile, and any other of the rocks that I have are going to go into the other pile. Taking a look at rocks in different ways is going to help children explore their worlds. Rocks can be used in buildings and jewelry and art, making roads, making decorations, and so many more areas. Rocks are invaluable resources for us, and people need to know about the properties of rocks in order to understand the planet. A little background information just for you, the educator. All rocks are composed of one or more minerals. Rocks can have different properties, including color, texture, luster, which is the shininess, and hardness. Geologists are the scientists who study rocks, and they group rocks into 3 different categories according to how they are formed. There's sedimentary, igneous, and metamorphic rocks. Sedimentary are rocks that are formed by layers of sand, mud, and silt deposited over time and compressed. Igneous rocks are formed from magma or lava from volcanoes that have cooled and hardened. And metamorphic rocks have been changed over time by extreme pressures and heat. However, through heating, squeezing, and weathering, rocks can continually be created and changed into new rocks. This is called the rock cycle. A science area is an essential part of the preschool classroom environment. Loris Malaguzzi, founder of Reggio Emilia philosophy, states there are 3 teachers of children: adults, other children, and their physical environment. We need to create an environment in our classroom that children feel welcome and secure so they are freely able to learn. When you are setting up this science area in your classroom, you need to think about what the goals you want to have for that science center will be. And then you're going to organize your science area. In organizing, you'll think about the materials that you want to have. Some materials might be donated and some might be purchased. You might have special items brought in for a specific topic that you're learning about. You want to make sure that they are well organized and in good condition, and that you are able to rotate and change materials often. Some basic supplies that you'll have in the center are things that will include binoculars, balance scales, tape measures, mirrors, sorting mats, and typical items like that. To keep children's interest, you will change out materials often throughout the year. And some of your broad concepts of science areas might include the nature and animals aspect, physical and earth science, and you also want to have sensory explorations. And this can be directly in the science center. You may even have a sensory area that includes a sand and water table. Please be sure to go to your course online and check out all of the content to go along with this week's session, and complete all of the activities as well as any experiments that are there for you to do. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me, Ms. Trott, or to your instructor. We're here to help you. Hope you have a great week learning, and I look forward to seeing you next time as we learn more about math and science for young children.